This is the 230th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the second week of October 2015. This episode is titled Winter 16. This episode of CloudFocus Weekly is brought to you by Clone This User. Clone an existing Salesforce user with a click of a button by the desktop or in Salesforce One Mobile. Available free on the App Exchange or go to www.clonethisuser.com. I'm your host, Jason Allen. Joining me, co-host Justin Edelstein.
Hey, bud.
Is it the winter of your discontent?
It's getting close.
To winter or your discontent?
Maybe a little bit from column A, a little from column B.
Well, we have a winterized podcast to talk about today, our agenda. We have 2 blog posts up about winter. And then I think, winter has hit our orgs. We're starting to see it hit customer orgs. We're having lots of conversations around it. So maybe we'll do some the good, the bad, the ugly, or the great, the awesome, the terrible. Oh, he's making the I don't want to talk about this on the podcast.
Like, no, I'll talk about whatever. I've got things to say.
Excellent. So let's first talk about Salesforce service enhancements.
Do we not do my rapid reaction one, or did that already get talked about?
Oh, did we not do the rapid?
I don't know when the last time we actually
I don't think we've done the rapid
is, because that's usually like the overview, the first one.
All right, well, let's do that one then. Let's start with that one.
By the way, we should mention I did make a guest appearance on another podcast.
And we're not mentioning that. That's blasphemy. It's blasphemy.
It's not blasphemy, but I made a nice at Dreamforce. I made an appearance on the Technology Flows podcast.
You're dead to me.
So you can go to technologyflows.com and listen to me and Matt Morris.
CloudFocus Weekly?
Yeah. Actually, Matt did it at the very start. He said, famous host of CloudFocus Weekly.
Very famous. Infamous almost.
And Arkus and all that other stuff. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I actually saw it. It showed up in my podcaster thing the other day, and I haven't had a chance to listen to it.
Came out all right. It was tough. The recording was a little awkward, but
okay.
I thought it was very good. I listened to myself.
Yeah, I liked it. I know you do. Alone in a room.
All the time.
Let's do... All right, so we'll start with Salesforce Winter 16 release notes rapid reaction.
Yeah. It wasn't so rapid because the release notes were like at Dreamforce time.
Right.
And we were in the middle of our Dreamforce series.
Yes.
And soon enough, we'll just start blogging more than once a week and just jump in there and be able to have more than one blog go out a week.
I think that will probably happen sometime next year.
Yeah, I think so. But in the meantime, I did my normal reaction. I won't even call it rapid. And I started off, as I think you kind of have to, with the release notes, and especially just a generic reaction to them, with the Lightning experience coming out. And
I'm sorry, what is this Lightning experience you speak
of? It's a whole new Salesforce. Well, do you have to install anything? Parker, you just turn it on?
You just turn it on?
What?
Do you have to install anything?
Lightning boy, you just flip what do you just flip over? Anyway, the Lightning experience is out. It's GA. It's available. You can turn it on via a permission set, and you can make it accessible to your end users. I'm going to sort of stop there.
We're going to talk about it.
Because we'll talk about it a little bit later.
Right.
But that was kind of the big thing. I also thought that I like to, when I do my little rapid release note reactions, I like to pick little features that I think make a big difference.
Okay. So give me one.
Set audit fields upon record creation. This was something that you could always do, but you would have to ask Salesforce to turn it on for you. You'd have to set a ticket. So this is when you're doing a big data migration.
Yep.
And you want to set the created date, created by, modified date, modified by on records from another system.
Right.
You could always do it. You'd get like a 2-week grace period to open that up and do, and it was through the API. So now you can do this on your own. You can go ahead and turn this feature on, and whenever you want to insert data into those fields through the API, you can go ahead and do it. It is behind an org-wide setting that needs to be turned on, and then the permission to actually do it needs to be assigned via permission set or profile. But it's nice to be able to do this work without having to put in a ticket,
right,
or put in a case with Salesforce, and then they ask you why, and then you're like, I told you why, and then they're like, what org, and you're like, I put that in the ticket, and then 4 days later you have it. So
that
little dig.
That is its own. Well, I'm always surprised by the amount of things that Salesforce, and I guess they're making better at, or getting better at them. The amount of things that they make you put in a ticket for, to turn on or to enable or stuff like that. You would think that the cost of building the feature versus the cost of handling the deluge of tickets and the frustration by end users, like, oh, that's a ticket. Oh, that's a ticket.
They've done it more and more recently, though.
Email relay ticket.
Well, now you can
log in as any user.
Well, now you can log in as any user. Yep. So that's another example
of
something that has recently been turned on, and an admin can just take care of. So I like this. I in the hundreds of pages of Lightning experience and how we're going to reinvent the universe, this means something to me.
You sound so bitter. I love
Vitriol.
it. I can't wait.
Vitriolic.
I agree. When I was reading the release notes, and I have not finished them. I got
me neither,
because it's kind of tough to get through this time.
Very thick.
Because it's very it's very lightningized, and I usually read it not so much for. I guess it's almost like when the first Salesforce 1 mobile, like when Salesforce 1 mobile was released, the release notes were just packed full of mobile stuff.
Because that's to explain the whole entire situation. I almost want
there to be like a release notes without Lightning.
Like, yeah, because I don't care about it. Because I'm not using it.
Right. Well, we'll get there.
I got to get to features that matter that have nothing to do with that.
So that we'll leave the other two in there for the user to go read, but that's at blog.arkusinc.com. It's called the Rapid Reaction. You can go read that. Then we'll go on to the next blog post. I guess we're 3 behind. Salesforce service enhancements for Winter 16.
Okay.
So it's all about the service, and of course, starting this one too. It's kind of tough because guess what gets a refresh in Lightning? Well, the Service Console. Interesting enough, which is actually one of my most. I actually like this is one of the Lightningized things I think that was sort of nice, but it's not opt out. This is you get it and you're going to take it if you're on Service Console.
Same for the Sales Console,
right? Really? I don't think so.
Sales Console, no. So Sales Console, if you're in the Lightning experience, is a Lightningized Sales Console.
Right.
But if you're not in the Lightning experience, you're
Service Console. If you're not in the Lightning experience, you're still in the Lightning Service Console.
It's interesting because it really does change your universe in terms of, if you've built any buttons. Like, you really have to prepare for this thing.
And this is one of those, because I was at a meeting with a client and they were talking about this, and we were talking about sort of the, what is usually turned on. We were actually talking about releases and all that. And I was with some Salesforce people and they were saying, oh, well, usually you get to pick what you want to turn on, and it's all opt-in. And then this one came up, and it was sort of an example of where that's absolutely not the case. That this
not
is one
true.
of those things.
Right.
So, I mean, if you're in service already and you don't already know, there's lots of nice stuff in it. It's not that different. I mean, Lightning compared to Aloha is very different, but Service Cloud Lightning and Service Cloud Aloha are not that different. They're very similar. I mean, there's just small changes that if you didn't tell someone it was Lightning, you just said, "Hey, I got a small refresh of the UI," they'd be like, "Oh, great."
Yeah, because I saw the Lightning Sales Console because we turned it on and enabled and allow ourselves to switch back and forth, and you know what? That was the problem. It was if you were Lightning enabled, and you were in Classic. And you jumped into Sales Console, you immediately went into the Lightning version of it, even though you came from Classic.
Right. So you had to turn yourself off.
You had to say, I don't want Lightning.
I had the conversation with him today. This is the partner that shall not be named. Loves the Sales Console. We're experimenting and playing with Lightning in our org. since last week, and I put it out there because, again, I'm the admin, I guess, of our org. So I said, hey, if you want it, let me know, and I'll assign the permission set using the permissioner. I didn't actually, but I'll assign it to you. And so kind of giving people a choice if they wanted to play with it or not, because some people just like, I want to get on with my work, and I'll see it when I see it. So a few people asked to have it on. He asked to have it on. And then I guess
I didn't even ask. You just turned it on.
Oh, but you did? Really?
You just did it.
Oh, okay. Well, because I thought you were going to ask.
I would have just turned it on for myself,
right?
But whatever.
Right. You're the co-admin.
But it was sort of weird because he's like, I have to be unenabled because of these things. I actually went in and fixed a lot of the things for him because a lot of it's just like,
where is this now?
Where is this now? Or you need to put the action on the layout so that you can do a thing. It was like, I'm on an opportunity. I can't create a task.
Right.
It's like, that doesn't make sense.
And I think this is the thing that...
Sorry, I'm going into my whole thing.
Well, this is where I think Lightning... This is where the conversation should go, is while Lightning is a brand new experience, it is... This is one of the few over the last billion years that I've been doing Salesforce work that I would say, take your time, really take your time, because you're not going to. This is one you really need to test, and you pilot and try.
Use permission sets to pilot this thing
a lot,
big time, with very specific users, with very specific use cases.
Yes,
start with sales, please.
Right.
Don't go over all over the place to like operational aspects that use a lot of custom objects and things.
Right.
Just start with basic sales users would be my...
But that's the thing. If someone's in an org that has a basic sales user, my guess is they have some custom stuff going on. So
potentially, but like for me, it was sort of useless. Like I couldn't, like, to just switch to get to the tab that I needed to get to. I had to hit the app switcher. And it goes into this weird thing, and it takes a long time to load, and then I can find my tabs, and I'm like, oh, good, there's the tab I need that I can't get to from the main navigation. Right. And I have this sales goals thing, and I don't own any opportunities in our org.
That's weird.
I don't own them.
No, so again, if you're thinking about Lightning, if you're about to get it, if you're listening to this as a customer or an admin and thinking, hey, I'd say... My big advice to you is take your time and open up a Word doc or Evernote or whatever and start to write a list. This is a list of things that either I need to change, right, as an admin, because you're going to need to spend some time adding and moving and shaking some stuff, and a list of things that just aren't going to work and you're going to need to wait for.
Yeah.
And so, or list of things you're going to need to replace the functionality of. So, again, we'll get into more of it. I guess we'll just jump in and out.
I had some questions. Well, while we're talking about it, I had some questions for folks when we first heard about it.
Are we moving off of service enhancements?
We shouldn't.
There's new stuff. Well, it's a blog post, so go read it.
Yeah, you can go read it. I mean, there's lots of stuff on here. Live Agent, Omnichannel, check it out.
Really cool.
Just really cool SOS stuff. But while we're sort of talking about Lightning, and we can sort of segue or segue, as you like to say, into your financial services blog post, which again starts with the Lightning experience because it's sort of the thing. I had a question for someone very early on when we first saw the Lightning experience, which was back when we saw it, and they were saying, URL hacks, so to speak, air quote, and JavaScript buttons and things like that are not going to work in this experience. So anytime you're like passing through an ID in an URL, it's not going to work. So like a lot of buttons to reports
links
that have
custom links,
lots of custom links that just don't work. So, we use Conga, and I don't see how Conga works in the Lightning experience. The whole thing is driven off of buttons that pass parameters through links.
Right.
If anyone from Conga is listening to this, feel free to tweet me or whatever. I want to know how you're handling this.
I'm sure they have a piece up.
They
on
would
their
have
page.
to re-architect their entire solution to work differently. Their whole entire solution is based on passing parameters through links from a page, a record.
Let's go to their support page and see if they have someone that says, "Hey, Lightning users,
hey, Lightning users, don't be Lightning users. Or, like, because that would be...
Important alert about Salesforce Winter 16 release. The initial Lightning Experience release docs does not have complete parity with Salesforce Classic. A list of features and gaps can be found in this Salesforce site. Ooh, that's a good site.
That's a good site. Let's bookmark
that. Of particular importance is the lack of support for buttons and reports in Winter 16 release. We hope to see these in future. If you choose to use Composer within Lightning Experience, you must convert Conga Composer buttons to custom links. In addition, if an existing Composer solution uses Salesforce reports, you must replace the reports with SQL queries.
Queries, so you have to do queries.
Big hand like this. We recommend that you continue to use Salesforce Classic mode as an administrator. You can
They need to start thinking about like the architecture of their solution, because their competitor, their draw loop competitor, they just handle all that in Apex.
I think that what they're saying is, hey, listen, we think that Salesforce needs to make this work, and I bet Salesforce is like, we're not going to make custom code works.
No,
I don't think they are.
I don't think they are either.
I think Earl Hack, all that's going away. All right, let's go on.
They've never officially been supported anyway. That's what they can always fall back on.
Oh, that
is something that I would fall back on if I was Salesforce. I'd say, hey, man, we told you not to do this stuff ever. We've never told you that was a good idea. We've actually told you not support it.
I bet I could find some Salesforce documentation that tells you how to build a custom button with URLs in it.
I bet you can't.
Yeah,
like a Salesforce documented thing with an URL hack? No way.
Well, a button is not really a URL hack. I mean, it is, but it isn't.
But like that's what a Conga button is. It's kind of an URL hack.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to my blog post.
Yours for FinServe. You want to start it off here?
I will tell you the toughest part of writing this blog post was trying to find stuff that was sort of not Lightning, right? Because it's tough to kind of get through there and find not Lightning stuff. So I picked 2 Lightning things that I think are cool, and I think these are sort of my positives. Like we're talking about the list of things that are very cool about Lightning. The new dashboards are, I think, for anybody, pretty much in any industry, but if you're in financial services and you want to have new analytics, the chains have been broken on what we can do, and really it's been rebuilt using more wave, front end technology. Everything looks much different. It's all the new graph types.
Columns.
You can do multiple columns. Not only can you do more than 3 columns, but you can span columns. Right. Which is the coolest
thing. You can make something really wide. You
basically
don't have those scrunched up names of things.
Right.
Anymore,
you basically have a grid, and you can go wide with certain things. So I will say, be careful. If you touch it and put it in Lightning, they can't see it outside of Lightning. So like I went to edit one, and they're like, if you edit this, it's not going to be available in Salesforce Classic. I was like, oh, clone user. So it's just yet another one of those things. Put it on your list of, if I create this really cool dashboard for Lightning, no one else can see it unless they're in Lightning. It just doesn't exist for them. And then the one that I've talked about in the past. Actually, I want to go. I'll go to Sales Path, which Sales Path on the mobile is okay. It's good. It's a nice feature. It kind of feels good. I don't do a lot of updating of opportunities on the mobile, but the idea and the concept around it, making making a graphic element out of your stages and highlighting fields and showing you what needs to be done.
Yeah, that's my favorite part about it is the coaching piece.
Yes.
So a sales manager can really standardize when you're in this stage to move it to this next stage, do these things.
Right.
And they're right in your face.
And it's just basically,
and you have no excuse for saying,
right,
I don't know how to get it from here to here.
Right.
It's like, well, if you can't do those 4 things,
right,
then either you're incompetent or move on to the next opportunity,
right,
and close it.
Right.
Like close lost.
Right. So I think that's a very nice, it's a very nice feature of Lightning, those 2 things.
I like your other one here, the relevancy of search results.
Yeah. So they're
not necessarily a specific to FinServe, but just the idea of having search be better is just anytime you can make search better for me is a bonus.
Search better. Yeah. So it's basically about how they split up things and URLs and things and make them just easier to show up in results. And there's a nice little table they show you. It's like, well, if you used to search for this, you used to get no results. If you used to search for now, you get this result. And it's like, oh, that's what I want. So a lot about characters and things like that.
Comma Inc.
Yeah.
right? Like something, comma, Inc.
Yep.
That would be
Well, Earls is the best example. If you search for, Arkus Inc., you would get bring back the whole thing www as before it wouldn't, and so basically they're breaking up the things into their parts. My guess is some other stuff. I know that there's work going on in search. There's always work going on in search. So I'm always about getting better search results.
Me too. I love
all
search
right,
results.
so let's get into let's talk about actual Lightning.
I think we've been doing that. Have we not? Have you played with it? Have you jumped in and dove in and tried to use it?
Well, you know me. I'm a Saturday morning release day guy. Get in there, get her done, and walked in. I read through it a little bit because as much as I went through the trailhead. So if you're thinking about learning about Lightning, I said it's a great place to start. There's some great trailheads on there. The Lightning, there's an admin track and there's a sales track, so you should at least go through that so you have a bit of an understanding before you get in. I'm
actually going to flip over into the experience right now.
Okay.
Just as we're talking about it.
Okay, good. You do that. And then I would say then I enabled it, and I was like, should I turn this on for everybody? No. Let me make this an opt-in program. My initial reaction is, I guess boiling it down to its core, its essence, we took it down to its essence, is great start. Long way to go. Like, that's my thing. It's like, it looks great. There are some pieces of it that I think just look awesome and are great, and I'm like, as a new UI and how it's handled, some of it I just think, wow, neat. I'm excited. And then it's like, okay, now I've got to use this thing, and that's when I just can't. I just stop, and I'm like, I can't use this because there's so much of this is not working with the way I use Salesforce. So I think great start, great. I don't want to say proof of concept because they rolled it out. Great beta. How's that? So this to me is Lightning beta. I know they don't want to do that. I know that's what they want. This is Lightning GA, and this is GA, and this is for everybody right now. To me, this is a beta. They've released it. Now we, the Salesforce users, and this is why even when Salesforce makes these massive changes and things that I don't freak out as much as I would with other companies, because I know the feedback loop for Salesforce is good and works, and I trust it, meaning we're going to find hundreds, thousands of things that we, no longer work or need to work, and we're going to start reporting them, and we're going to start putting them into ideas. And I know that will work. We will talk about the ideas. We will get them voted up. We'll see them get... And I know over the next 2, 3, 4 releases, this thing will start to really, really, really work. And at that point, the adoption level will go up, and I'll feel like, oh, great, I can't wait. So to me, it's a really cool beta. It's got some really neat features that we've waited for a long time, but it's certainly on my day-to-day when I'm living in Salesforce working, I don't have it on because there's not enough on the good side to keep me there, and there's enough missing that I can't work. It's just in my day-to-day. And I use Salesforce, 10, 12, 14 hours a day. That's my kind of overall thought. You?
I'm not as big of a fan.
Just at all?
It's slow.
Well, that's true. That's why to me that's beta. It's like it's a beta. It's slow. It's beta. It's going to get faster.
Then let's call it beta.
Yeah, I
but
agree.
You're calling it beta.
Well, but I'm a bigwig, so I'm going to call it beta.
Let's call it what it is. I mean, it's not fully there. I mean, there's some cool features. I like going to my open opportunities where I'm the project manager and seeing like a nice staged out view, and
that's
so
awesome.
I can track my work pipeline.
Yep.
That's cool. I like the board
view.
But other than that, like
inline charts inside of list views is
cool.
Really cool.
I mean, it's cool visualization stuff. I feel like there's a lot of wasted space on this page. Every page pretty much has tons of wasted space on it. And the fact that you can't customize what tabs show up on the left and in what order they show up, and all of a sudden you lost the chatter tab, which I thought was very useful because it served a lot of purposes. Like, it had your feed, it had people, it had groups, it had files, it had everything in it. Now they're all different tabs again. And you can't really, like, I don't know, why is cases like the last tab? Like Wirecase is so all the way down at the bottom. They're so much less important than like, notes, really? Like that just doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
And that you can't do anything to it is so anti-Salesforce. Like I'm not a salesperson, so this quarterly performance thing here doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it works for me.
What do you mean it works for you?
You just set your goal because it's not just yours; it's company.
Are you sure?
I'm looking at it; it works for me. Meaning, I can see the goal of our goal for our company. I'm looking at it. So that's a learning thing, right? I'm looking at it. I'm seeing where our goal is and where it is. I set it, and it's actually showing me. It's showing me where we are. I like that. There's lots to like, but there are just choices. You're right. The navigation, having gone from something that we fully customized and said this is the way our navigation should go, they've now said. No, we're going to tell you which way it should go. It should go this way, right? And you're going to kind of live with it this way. It's home, opportunities, leads, tasks, files. You're like, oh, well, okay, well, those aren't the important things in my life. So that's kind of interesting. But again, I think those are things I just know they're going to change. So I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, account insights not useful.
Yeah, not. I mean, not
right
my
now,
big thing.
There's one thing showing, and it's Cloud IoT lift Salesforce.com into new buy zone.
Mine actually.
So how is that actually relevant to anything for me?
See, mine actually has a client of ours.
Well, it says view all. Let's see if there's anything that Oh, there's one.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's another one.
There's 2,
3, 4, 5.
I've only seen 3 so far,
Oh,
and
I
I'm
see a couple
scrolling through
clients.
a big list.
Yeah.
Not very useful.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not, as you can tell, not a huge fan. I think it's a start. I'm not going to go with it's a great start. I think it's a start.
Right.
I love
landing on a navigation element and getting a list view. Start.
I'm more looking forward to is the framework that this thing is built on,
Right.
and when components start to become more prevalent in the ecosystem, and you get to start just dragging and dropping them all over the place.
So let's talk about that, because I think that's what's getting lost in this conversation that I think we need to bring to the forefront.
Let's bring some positives to it.
Well, I have tons of
positives
positives. I just don't see it the way you see it. I see it as just this beta, and I know that's not a beta, but it's a beta. I'm sorry, I'm going to call it a beta, and it's got some really cool stuff, and it's basically their way of showing off their new UI componentized experience. So they're showing it by building these components and saying, hey, here's stuff that you're going to be able to do. This is where, because again, Lightning is a new user experience, and it's also a lot of branding on Lightning, but it is at the core, I think, the most important thing is it's a rebuilt front end to Salesforce that allows for some serious high-level customization that we have been wanting for many, many years in these components. And components can be built or bought, and they can be dragged and dropped around on the pages, on your page layouts, and sort of create a whole new experience.
Can they be done in the desktop yet? I don't know that yet.
I don't think so.
On the mobile, you can, sort of drag them and drop them as little apps.
I don't think so. So I think that's sort of again, it's hard to tell with what you've seen in Dreamforce and what's coming and what's there. But the components, the idea of a component, if you think of your page, if you're looking at your page in Salesforce and you think of, the different sections and things, well, in Lightning, all these different areas are components, and then you will be able to write new components or put new components, drag and drop. So creating an account page with all sorts of different things on top of it, right, that are totally custom and in the area that you want to do that you wouldn't be able to do before, and literally drag and drop. So I think that's what's going to be super exciting, and where this is really going. And so I guess I'm just like, well, okay, the UI itself, the way it works is slow, and it's not the way I would have built it. But I feel like where it can go with all the componentizing and the way it'll work across the devices and things like that is so important.
I don't think you can do it yet, because I'm looking at a page layout, opportunity page layout, and the page layout editor, even in the Lightning experience, still looks very much just like a classic page layout
Right.
when you're in the edit mode, which, by the way, setup's been totally revamped, and it's actually pretty nice.
That's one of the things. So what I'd like to be able to do, here's my suggestion of the week. I'd like to be able to turn on Lightning for setup.
Yeah, because Lightning setup's, slow, but it's nicely laid out.
Right. So even the calendar's much better.
Yes, the calendar is better, but you don't have multi-calendar.
Right.
Like, I can't look at
missing stuff.
This is more than just my calendar.
This is all the missing stuff.
The fact that it has its own tab is kind of neat, and tasks do too. Why they're not next to each other is beyond me.
Why they're not customizable is really the issue.
Well, why aren't tasks and calendar right next to each other? And why is calendar in the middle of people and groups?
Well, because calendar, people, and groups.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Cases.
Am I just looking at it because we have it in some weird order, or are they in the same order for you too?
That's the way they are.
Yeah, that's just, who thought of that? Who decided that was a good idea?
The thing is, I bet you they spent so much time talking about where things go and how they work that it's just like, I don't know. That'd be funny.
It's like task calendar.
Calendar.
People, groups, files. That's how we, I don't know, whatever.
Well, home opportunities. Opportunities is
opportunities like the pole position.
I guess.
That's the money object in this environment.
It's Superman in my blog post. All right, so we've talked. Let's talk about. Is there anything else that you're excited about?
I'm excited for the next version of it.
Yeah, and
I'm excited for the next year because it's going to be fun. The component thing really does excite me. The component exchange on the app exchange excites me because I'm starting to see what people are doing in there, and it's kind of cool stuff. And this framework that they've given you to build out little mini apps,
right?
Really cool, and just drop them on, the homepage,
right?
In theory, soon, just drop something right there on the homepage that does something that you couldn't do from a homepage. It's like, oh, this is something I do all the time. Now I can do it right on my homepage. It's kind of cool.
And I like that you can switch in and out of it, and that the switching out of it is not difficult, right? Because if they made that tough to do, I think I'd be a little bit upset. But it is, although I'm not clicking on my user to try to get out of it, and I can't get out. Oh, there we go. I like that because it is something you need to experiment with, but I want to be able to jump in and out of it very quickly. Switch to Classic. Yes, don't tell me.
Go to Classic.
And I think like anything, you're gonna feel a little bit as the more you use it, and the more kind of to get you in there, you'll find yourself switching back to Classic and going, oh, right. So there's certain things I switch back to Classic, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness they're still here. Recent items are here. My tabs are here. And then there's custom links, which we use constantly.
Yes.
Like to us,
we love our custom links.
Custom links on the side. We have so much stuff.
Bye-bye.
Half of our company runs off the
Goodbye,
custom
left-hand links. Custom link help things.
Well, but won't that just be a component / customizable thing? What? Aliens?
I
don't know.
Someone will probably build a custom links component.
Here's who I feel bad for. Speaking of people who are building things.
Yeah.
Because we're one of them. We have products, and we are, I guess we don't really care. We're in the midst of...
We don't really care.
Well, I mean, the thing is sort of secrecy.
What kind of thing is that?
Secrecy-wise, we don't care.
Oh, secrecy-wise.
Yeah, because we're not. But we're taking a look at and or rebuilding our apps in Lightning, or parts of them or pieces or whatever. Primarily just as a way to get to know it. We've built something for a client using the Lightning design experience.
Using the Lightning design system.
Sorry, system.
Yes. Just a visual first page, but
LDS.
But we use the LDS to make it look the new way,
right?
And so that it would work really nice on a mobile device,
right? But what's nice is it looks nice today, even in Classic.
Right.
It looks great in Lightning, and then it looks great on mobile, and then when they turn on Lightning, it will look like it'll just fit in. So I think it's a nice middle ground, and I'd be expecting people when they're doing this to be doing that kind of like building stuff in.
Well, Lightning design system is actually still not even like a 1.0.
Really?
It's not actually completely baked yet.
All right, so that's it. God, we'll be talking about Lightning for probably the next couple of years until episode 300. But for now, I'm calling it a nice beta, which I'm sure there's someone just shaking.
Salesforce will be like, great.
Thanks.
Just spent like 2 years
$100
rebuilding
million.
our entire infrastructure
Good
and
beta.
our UI and our UX for a good beta.
But I think that's the thing. If this were Google, this would be a beta.
Yeah, it'd be a beta for 4 years.
It would be a beta for 4 years.
Isn't that fine?
Well,
Like,
they
just roll with it.
when they rebuilt, and you don't even like the Google Drive, the new Google Drive.
I've gotten used to it.
Yes,
I
now you've
kind of
gotten
like
used to
it now.
But they rolled it out slow. I
Yeah.
mean, they let you. I mean, it was at least 2 years.
Yes.
That let you flip back and forth, and eventually they're like, yeah.
Because
you
at
can't
first
flip
they're
back.
like, "You want to try it?" And I'm like, "Yes." And I'm like, "How do I get out of here?
Right.
This is terrible."
So I think use that as an example. That's exactly the way this is going to be.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
That's the way it's going to be. And you'll say, "Get me out of here! It's terrible." And
Get
then
me
in
out of here!
In
It's
2 years, you'll be
awful.
like, "Oh, I like it." All right, so let's get to our CloudFocus app pick of the week.
What's this next time on?
Oh, I thought about a special episode. Special episode.
What about?
I thought maybe we would do a episode on travel.
Like fun places to go and things to see?
No, like I think you and I travel a lot, and certainly recently we
You
travel.
think so?
Yeah, we travel quite a bit.
I guess
I mean,
more than the average person.
Do you know that only 30% of Americans have passports?
Really?
Yeah,
I have like 4 of them.
100% of UK people have passports.
Yeah, but they can just like go anywhere.
Well, that's exactly right. I thought it might be a good to do a travel special episode and talk about travel and talk about not where we're going, but like all the different types of stuff that we do. We have different.
Yeah, I
No?
don't really love that idea. Well,
Love
let's just like maybe just talk about it a little bit before we commit to doing that one.
All right, we'll do it next week. Anyway, so what's your Salesforce
so
Lab pick of the week?
I
mean,
wanted-
sorry, CloudFocus Lab pick of the week.
I wanted to pick something from the app exchange that is part of the component app exchange. So the component area or
Right.
component exchange, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
It's not an app, it's a component. It's called Finder. It's from Salesforce Labs, so heed the warnings of a Salesforce Labs product. It's free, and basically it's a quick find for across objects.
Okay.
So it's type ahead search for everything. So
Okay.
it's using a component because this component has the ability to, they're written in ways that sort of remote in,
Right.
as opposed to being like visual force pages. So using that framework, they're able to, in a very performant way, or I think I said that correctly.
Nope. That's
No?
okay. Performant?
Yeah,
A
isn't
performant
is that
way?
not the way to say that? In
Very
a highly
performance.
fast,
Highly
whatever.
fast.
Who cares? It's fast. You find things. It's a better search
Good
experience.
stuff.
So yeah, cool component for finding things. Type ahead, fast search, click on things, put it on your mobile. It's cool.
I like it.
Finder, very, very, very creative name.
Yes, Finder. So mine is this is kind of a throwback because I'm constantly trying to find the perfect podcast listener.
Yeah, me too.
And
But I'm not, because I don't look. I just have one, and I know it's not perfect.
and right, and that's the thing. So I've been using Downcast for a while, but it started to kind of like
Are you down on Downcast?
I'm a little Downcast. So I was reading something on Zeit, and it came and it was like people were just screaming it from like articles are popping up in front of me that Overcast, the podcast player, which used to be pay, which is the best one. I'm hearing tons of people say it's the best one. It's the best one. Your buddy Merlin Mann says the best one. Overcast is now free. And to give it a shot. So I've been I'm picking Overcast, the podcast player. I don't know.
Is it great or no?
It's good. It's good. I like a lot of the features. I mean, it's got a lot of the same features that all of them have. It's got a couple that are a little nicer.
Does it have good settings? The thing that I really like about a good podcast app is the settings for like how long to actually keep an episode on your device downloaded versus when to sort of chuck it and get rid of it.
It has,
and how many to keep, and just
it has better settings for that.
So
what I like about it is that it
settings.
seems to be built for people who listen to more than a few podcasts.
Oh, that's good.
Because when you do settings, you can do settings and saying all the podcasts, like only keep or this. So
I like it.
Yeah, so
I like that.
It's pretty good. I'm really enjoying it.
I just downloaded it. It's on my phone.
There you go. It's got some nice effects. Let's see.
I don't care about effects.
Well, here, let's go to CloudFocus Weekly.
You have a lot of them. Wow.
I have a lot of podcasts.
Hey, look, it's CloudFocus Weekly.
So, like, that's kind of a cool effect.
Hey, that's
on the
us.
bottom. Yeah.
Is it playing?
Yeah, it's playing. I have it turned down. There's a couple other ones it has in here.
Why don't you just turn the volume up and we can just have our...
It has something called Voice Boost, which kind of helps out for voice podcast.
What other podcasts are there besides
short and
voice?
silences?
Can you explain what a non-voice podcast is?
People who are like music podcasts.
What would that be? Just like
be awesome.
An album? Have people
yeah,
done that? Put out an album as a podcast? Like, here, it's a full album. We just jam.
It's a podcast.
It's a podcast album.
Podcast album. So anyway, Overcast. It's got some nice features. I'll tell you the one thing that I really enjoyed. It's got free syncing across, whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But you know what? It was nice.
Tell me.
It had a great import. So it had an import from Downcast.
Does it have an import from Instacast?
It might.
That'd be cool.
I went in. It said, "Here's how you do it." I went to it.
switch.
I flipped it over, and it pulled in all my podcasts.
I'll switch.
Yeah, I really
I have
like
no
it.
allegiance.
So Overcast is a pick from me. And let's see, what's it got? Unlock. It does have some in-app purchases. I don't know what they do.
Yeah, whatever.
3-month optional, 6-month optional. I don't know what those things are. But for the free version, it seems to work. Streaming chapters, story management.
Now that Bill Simmons is back, it's like, content galore.
Smart Steed, tons of little improvements. Anyway, cool app. Overcast. All right, let's wrap this puppy up.
Yeah.
At Just Edelstein, at Jason Matwood, at Arkus Inc. We'll be back next week with some podcast about something. We'll talk about something. I mean, we can certainly talk about more winter stuff. Maybe we'll find more winter stuff that we're excited about that's non-lightning. Maybe that would be a good blog post, is all of the non-lightning stuff. Like, what's non-lightning in Winter 16? I'd like to read it. In fact, if we don't write it, someone should write that.
Someone should write that.
We should write that. All right, we'll be back next week. Until then, Justin Jason saying enjoy those cloudy days.